Shalom, Yasharala. This is your boy, Brother Samuel, back at you with another edifying video. Right, today we're going to talk about, humbling yourself for this truth, right? So first and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory. I want to say, Call Yahweh, Ba'ashem Mashiach Yahushai, Ba'ashem Rakakadash, right? That's all praise to the Most High God, whose real name is Yahweh, and his only begotten Son's name, who is Yahweh Shai, right, in the Holy Spirit, right? So let's get into it, right? We gotta understand first, when we get into this truth, man, right? We gotta make sure we're humbling ourselves, right? We almost have to kind of erase our memory of all the past things that we've been taught, right? And we also gotta know that, hey, we don't know everything, right? If you're still a student, you still have to continue to learn, and you can't. You don't want to block the knowledge that the Most High is trying to give you, man. So, the best thing to do, this is for brothers and sisters, this is for myself as well. You got to humble yourself down, right, for this truth, man. And before this truth, you have to humble yourself down and be ready to hear, right, and to be ready to listen, right. Let me get that real quick. It just popped up through the spirit. Let's see. This is the book of Ecclesiastes, right? Chapter 5 and verse 1. It's the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 5, verse 1. It says, "Keep thy foot when thou goest to the house of the Most High, and be more ready to hear than to give the sacrifice of fools, for they consider not that they do evil," right? So we got to make sure, when we're trying to learn this truth, man, sometimes you got to be quiet and just listen. You got to humble yourself down and just listen and hear the words of the Most High. Because a lot of times we hear, but we don't comprehend. You can hear a sound, but you don't comprehend what it is, right? We gotta comprehend what's going on, right? And we gotta humble ourselves, right? So let's get that real quick. This is gonna be a quick edification, right? This is the book of James, right? It's the book of James, chapter 4, and verse 10. And it says, book of James, chapter 4, verse 10, it says, "Humble yourselves in the sight of the Lord, and he shall lift you up." Right? So we got to humble ourselves, right? When we humble ourselves, that's when the Most High will exalt us and lift us up, right? But if we're prideful and we're doing all that, hey, the Most High is not going to deal with us, man, right? But it says, "Humble yourselves in the sight of the Lord, and he shall lift you up." Right? Let's get another one real quick. Let's go to the book of First Peter, right? Chapter 5, and we'll start at verse number 6. This is the book of First Peter, chapter 5, and verse 6. It says, "Humble yourselves, therefore, under the mighty hand of the Most High, that he may exalt you in due time." Right? And that's the thing too. A lot of times we're such in a rush to try to get understanding, to try to, to think that we know what we're talking about. Hey man, we got to humble ourselves, right, before the mighty hand of the Most High, that he may exalt you in due time. Right? It's in his time that he'll exalt you. It's not in your time, right? But we got to humble ourselves and be patient, and be patient and willing to hear and willing to understand what these scriptures are talking about, right? And then he'll exalt us in that due time, right? Um, let's keep going. Let's but a lot of us, and then brothers in this world, and brothers in this truth and sisters in this truth, right? We got a lot of pride in ourselves, and we got to get that pride off of us, man. Right? That whole spirit of you know everything, I know everything, and no, brother, we don't know everything, right? And you got to be able to humble yourself and say, "Hey, listen, I don't know. Let me watch some videos, right? Let me ask an elder. We got to do stuff like that, right?" This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 29 in verse 3. And this is one of our biggest problems, man, in Yasharala, just as a whole, man. Right? A lot of you men and a lot of you women have a lot of pride. Right? So let's get this. This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 29 and verse 23. It says, a man's pride shall bring him low, but honor shall uphold the humble in spirit. Right? So pride is going to bring you low. And a lot of times when you come into this truth, hey, your pride, you more than likely you had a lot of pride and you thought you knew everything, and the Most High had to humble you. The Most High will humble you. He will sit you down at the bottom at the dust until like they do in kindergarten, man. He'll have you sit down, right, Indian style, right on the ground until you humble yourself, and then you start listening. Then you'll start listening and hearing, right? A lot of us had to go through that. A lot of the people, who have learned this truth, man, we had to be humble. We had to get that pride off of us and humble down to the bottom, right? And then he can lift you up, right? Let's get another one. Let's go to the book of Proverbs, right? Chapter 16 and verse 18, right? This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 16, verse 18. It says, pride goeth before destruction, and a haughty spirit before a fall, right? So we got to understand, man, that our pride can lead us straight to destruction, right? Because then we don't want to listen, right? We don't want to listen because we think we know it, we think we know better than somebody else, or, a lot of times, nah, this brother, he know what he talking about, but then you're not examining it and seeing, you're not actually looking into stuff. You just, oh no, I know that, that pride is a big thing in Israel. We gotta humble ourselves, especially in these last days, man. And if you want to get the truth, if you want to get understanding, you gotta take that pride and cast it aside, right? But it says, reading on in verse 19, it says, better is it to be of a humble spirit with the lowly than to divide the spoil with the proud, right? So I'd rather be humble and lowly than to be out here boastful and prideful in the world, man. And you got all these material things and all this stuff. I don't need all that, man. Because at the end of the day, it's not gonna mean nothing when your how about Shimei Shai returns. That's not gonna mean nothing. You ain't gonna be able to do nothing with that, right? But what you need to do now is humble yourself and cast away that pride that's from you, right? Let's get another one, right? Let's go to the book of First Corinthians, right? Book of First Corinthians, chapter 8, and verse number 2. So this is the book of First Corinthians, chapter 8, and verse 2. It says, and if any man think he knoweth anything, he knoweth nothing as yet he ought to know, right? And how many times, have you just in your own self, like, yeah, I know what I'm talking about, right? And then at the end of the day, like somebody might shut you down and you get confounded, because what you thought you knew, you didn't know nothing, right? And that's why it's good to be humble. It's good to be humble, so, something, hey, look, you know what, I didn't know. Hey, look, I apologize, right? We got to be able to do that. Got to be able to do that. You can't have a hard heart and a mind that can't be corrected or you can't you got to be able to bow down to the truth and to the understanding of these ways. Right? This is the truth. This is what we've been seeking for. This is what we've been seeking for our whole life, right? And why get prideful and not learn the true message, right? From the Most High, man. The good tidings, right? Yahweh Shai, His mercy, His grace, right? So we got to humble ourselves. And if you think you know everything, then you probably don't. Because how many times do you read the scriptures, right? And you get like, oh man, that was great. And then you read it again, and then something else pops up, and now you get even more understanding, right? So we gotta ponder upon that, right? And we gotta we gotta humble ourselves, right? Let's go to Let's go back to the book of Proverbs, right? Let's go back to the book of Proverbs, chapter 3 and verse number 5. It says, the book of Proverbs, chapter 3 and verse 5, it says, trust in the Lord with all thine heart and lean not unto thine own understanding. Right? So we can't lean into our own understanding. Well, I believe, or, well, I think, well, no, brother, no. You got to trust in Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, right? With all your heart, right? And your heart, we know, is your mind. With all your mind, you got to put your trust in him, right? And it's a hard thing to do, but you got to do it. You got to put your trust and your faith in Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. Because really, at the end of the day, you have nothing. You don't have anything. So you really, and he can take it all away from you. So you gotta be able to humble yourself, right? And put your trust in him and lean not into your own understanding. How many times have you leaned to your own understanding and it leads you to failure, to destruction, right? So we definitely, it's not in the scriptures just for nothing, right? So it says, trust in the Lord with all thine heart and lean not unto thy own understanding. And in all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths, right? So the Most High, man, the Yahweh Bashem Shai is going to direct your path. Once you acknowledge him, right? All right, let's keep going. Let's go to the book of Hebrews, right? To the book of Hebrews. Book of Hebrews, chapter 5, and verse number 12. It says, the book of Hebrews, chapter 5, and verse 12. For when for the time ye ought to be teachers, ye have need that one teach you again, which be the first principles of the oracles of the Most High, and are become such as have need of milk and not of strong meat, right? So, a lot of times, and just think about this just in the world too. You know what I mean? A lot of times, like even with jobs and stuff, right? You have to keep taking trainings to keep learning, right? When you think you know something, hey, you might not know everything, right? But it says, for when the time you ought to be teachers, you have need that one teach you again, right? So you got to constantly continue to learn in this truth, and to be able to humble yourself. Even as a teacher, you got to be able to humble yourself, right? Because we know that knowledge has increased in the last days, and it's going to keep increasing, right? So we got to understand that, hey, new things are coming out, and we got to understand, right? But we got to hold fast to the true doctrine, right, of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. But we gotta understand that, hey, we can still be taught, right? You should constantly be studying and learning, right? And re-examining yourself and seeing, hey, hey, am I walking right in the ways of Hamashiach Yahushai, right? Am I really putting my faith and my trust in Yahweh Bashem Yahushai? We gotta make sure, and that all comes with humbling yourself. You gotta humble yourself, right? All right, let's get an example, right? Let's go to the book of Acts, right? Let's go to the book of Acts, chapter 8, and I'll start at verse 27, right? This is the book of Acts, chapter 8, verse 27. And he arose, and behold, a man of Ethiopia, a eunuch of great authority under Candace, queen of Ethiopians, who had the charge of all her treasure and had come to Jerusalem to worship. I'm going to jump to 29. I'll just read 28. Was returning and sitting in his chariot, read Isaiah the prophet. Then the Spirit said unto Philip, go near and join thyself to this chariot. And Philip ran thither to him and heard him read the prophet Isaiah and said, Understandest thou what thou readest? And he said, How can I, except some man should guide me? And he desired Philip that he would come up and sit with him. Right? So this man, right, he was reading the book of Isaiah, and guess what? And Philip, came up to him. The Spirit told Philip to come up to the chariot, right? And he asked the man, "Hey, do you understand what you're reading? You're reading the book of Isaiah. Do you understand what you're reading?" He's like, "Well, how can I, except some man should guide me?" Right? He humbled himself. He didn't be like, "Yeah, oh, brother, I know that. Yeah, I know what it is." No, if you don't know, you don't know, and it's okay to say you don't know, right? And if you have teachers, right, and double honors to the apostles and elders, right, who are giving us truth and give us this understanding in these last days, right? So we got to be able to humble ourselves and ask, hey, no, I don't know, but can you help me, right? Can you help me? Can you actually help me and show me how to read these scriptures, right? And that's how we got to be, right? Because the Most High, he in these last days, he has sent his prophets and his teachers out in this world, man, right? To wake up the hopeful elect, right? Let me get this real quick. Let's go to the book of Jeremiah, right? Chapter 3 and verse number 15. This is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 3 and verse 15. And I will give you pastors according to mine heart, which shall feed you with knowledge and understanding, right? So the Most High is going to give us pastors, right, according to His heart, right, which shall feed you with the knowledge and understanding, right? And that knowledge and understanding, right, is this word, man. Is this truth, right? You're not gonna find this in Pastor Porkchop's church, right? In the Episcopal Zion AME Baptist non-denominational church of whatever. You know what I'm saying? You're not gonna find that, man. Right? But the Most High is gonna give you, right, pastors according to His heart, which shall feed you with the knowledge of understanding. Right? So that's what we gotta understand. Right? And when you get that, right, like brothers always say, man, you don't just take our word for it. You got to go and study for yourself, right? So let's get that. This is the book of Acts, chapter 17 and verse 11. This is the book of Acts, chapter 17 and verse 11. These were more noble than those in Thessalonica, in that they received the word with all readiness of mind, right? So they humbled themselves down. They actually listened and then took the word, right, into their heart, right, of mind, and searched the scriptures daily whether those things were so, right? So you know don't just sit there and believe every word. You got to go in the scriptures and search it out and read it, see if it's actually saying what it actually means, right? And you got to pray for understanding. You got to pray for the Lord to open your mind and give you this understanding, right? And give you that and humble you down to give you that understanding that you need, right? But you gotta make sure that you're searching out and you're doing your due diligence, right? And the only way you can do that is to humble yourselves, right? When you humble yourself, you have to be like a child, right? Let's get this. Let's go to the book of Matthew, right? Chapter 18. And we'll start at verse 2. It says, And Yahushua called a little child unto him, and set him in the midst of them, and said, Verily I say unto you, except ye be converted and become as little children, ye shall not enter into the kingdom of heaven. Right? Verse 4 says, Whosoever therefore shall humble himself as this little child, the same is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven. Right? So Yahushua is telling us that we gotta humble ourselves. We gotta be like little children, right? Little children, they watch and they observe, and then they try to act, and they try to to follow, right? Like if they see, their parents doing something, you know, they'll try to mimic that and try to, get themselves right. They're in training, right? So as a little child, Christ said that you have to be like a little child, right? You got to be able to humble yourself. And it said, humble yourself as this little child. So, and we know, childs are, their minds are open and ready to intake knowledge and wisdom, right? And that's what we got to do, right? And that's what he was trying to, show Nicodemus, right? Let's get that. Let's go to the book of John, right? Chapter 3, and start at verse 3. And it says, and Yahushua answered and said unto him, verily, verily, I say unto thee, except a man be born again, he cannot see the kingdom of the Most High. Nicodemus saith unto him, how can a man be born when he is old? Can he enter the second time into his mother's womb and be born? And Yahushua answered, verily, verily, I say unto thee, except a man be born of water and of the Spirit, he cannot enter into the kingdom of the Most High. That which is born of flesh is flesh, and that which is born of spirit is the spirit. It says, marvel not that I said unto thee that ye must be born again. Right? So Christ was trying to show Nicodemus that same thing. But you got to be able to humble yourself, right? It wasn't you actually got to go in your mother's womb and be born again, right? No, you have to be able to humble yourself, like he said, as a little child. You got to be able to have your mind open to receive this understanding of this truth, right? And the only way you can get that, is through this word, right? And through Hamashiach Yahushai, right? And it says, let me go back to that. It says, verse 5, it says, Yahushua answered, verily, verily, I say unto thee, except a man be born of water and of the Spirit, he cannot enter into the kingdom of the Most High, right? So what's that? What's that water? We know what that water is, huh? Let's get that real quick. Let's go to the book of Ephesians. Salaki. Ephesians chapter 5 and verse 26. Right? The book of Ephesians chapter 5 verse 26, it says that he might sanctify and cleanse it with the washing of the water by the word. Right? So the word, like the words of the Most High, right? The words of the Most High are what's gonna clean you, right? Through your spirit, through your mind, right? And then it said of except a man be born of water and of the Spirit, right? And that Spirit, right, is the wisdom, right? So let's get that. Let's go to the book of Wisdom of Solomon, right? I'm just gonna kind of get to the point. 7. And we'll start at verse 24. It's the book of Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 7 and verse 24. It says, for wisdom is more moving than any emotion. She passeth and goeth through all things by reason of her pureness. For she is the breath of the power of the Most High, and pure influence flowing from the glory of the Almighty. Therefore can no defiled thing fall into her. Right? So that breath of life, that's what the Most High gave Adam, right? He gave Adam that breath of life, which is that wisdom. That wisdom, right, is the law, statutes, and commandments, right? The understanding, this truth, right? And we know the truth, right? Let's get this. Let's go to the book of John, right? The book of John, chapter 14 and verse number 6. It says, Yahushua saith unto him, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man can cometh unto the Father but by me. Right? So Yahushua is the way. He is the truth. He is the truth. Right? He is the truth, and he is the way, right? He is our way, in these last days back to the Father, right? Let's get that real quick. uh, let's stay in the book of John. Let's go to 10, right? It's the book of John, chapter 10 and verse 1. It says, "Verily, verily, I say unto you, he that entereth not by the door into the sheepfold, but climbeth up some other way, the same is a thief and a robber," right? So the only way to get to the kingdom of heaven, to get to the Most High God, Yahweh, is through His Son, right? He is the door. He is the way. He is the truth, right? If you try to get up any other way, right, it says that you are a thief and a robber, right? You are a thief and a robber, and you're not gonna be able to get in, right? And that's why you really got to humble yourself and make sure that you are walking in the way of truth, right? Walking in the right understanding, right? Because there's many different doctrines out right now, and you got to make sure that you're under the true understanding and the true doctrine, right? So let's get this. And I got a couple more, and I'm gonna wrap it up, right? This is the book of 2 Timothy, right? Chapter 2, and we'll go to verse 15. It says, "Study to show thyself approved unto the Most High, a workman that needeth not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth." Right? Rightly dividing the word of truth. But you got to study to show yourself approved, right? You got to open up this book, man, right? Revelation 1 and 3, man. Blessed is he that readeth, right? What's that? Isaiah 34 and 16. Seek ye out of the book and read, right? That's how you're going to get understanding, right? Let's get this real quick. So it says, let me read it again. This is the book of 2 Timothy chapter 2 and verse 15. "Study to show thyself approved unto the Most High, a workman that needeth not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth," right? So who is that word? What is that word, right? Let's get this. It's the book of Revelation, right? Chapter 19, verse 13. It says, "And he was clothed with a vesture dipped in blood, and his name is called the Word of God," right? And we know who that is. That's talking about Yahweh Shai HaMashiach, or who you ignorantly call Jesus Christ, right? He is that word, right? So you got to study to show, right? To show thyself approved, right? Rightly dividing, right, the word of truth. And we know that word is Yahweh Shai, right? Yahweh Shai is the word, right? What's that? Psalms 40 and 7. "Behold, I come in the volume of the book," right? The book is about him. This whole book is about Yahweh Shai. He is the word, right? John 1 and 1. The word was with God, right? That's what that's talking about, right? Let's get another one. Let's go to the book of Revelation. It will stay in the book of Revelation and go to chapter 3, and we'll go to verse 20. It says, the book of Revelation, chapter 3 and verse 20, "Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come in to him, and I will sup with him, and he with me." Right? So in order for us to get this understanding, we have to knock at the door. Right? And what's that door? That door is these scriptures. You got to open that door. You got to open this book. You got to read. You got to knock, right? And when you knock, hey, Yahweh Shai said he would come in and he will sup with you, right? And he will give you understanding. He'll give you that spirit of understanding, the spirit of the word. But that all comes with humbling yourself, right? That all comes with humbling yourself down, and be more ready to hear than to speak and do everything else. We got to we got to humble ourselves to the word of God, because it is truth and it stands, and it's surpassed uh, uh, time. It's surpassed like everything, right? It stands true. The prophecies, right? They're all coming to play out now. You got all this stuff coming and happening, and you got to understand it. To order to understand this stuff, one of the first steps is you gotta humble yourself, right? You gotta have the fear of the Most High, right? And you gotta have the faith or the belief, right? In His only begotten Son who He sent, Hamashiach Yahushai, right? But it says, "Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come in to him and will sup with him and he with me," right? So we got to be able to open that door, and that door is that Bible. Is that Bible? Is opening the thing up and reading, right? And Yahushua will sup with you, right? And the only way we can do that, right, is we gotta get in this book, right? And that was what I was talking about earlier. Let's go to that real quick. This will be my last one, and I'll wrap it up. Right, this is the book of Isaiah, chapter 34, and verse 16. Right, this is the book of Isaiah, chapter 34, verse 16. It says, "Seek ye out of the book of the Most High," or Salakia, "seek ye out of the book of Yahweh by Hashem Yahushai, and read, and no one of these shall fail." So you got to seek out of the book and read, right? And read. Don't just open the book and just have it. Hey, open it and read it. Study. But it says, "Seek ye out of the book of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai and read. No one of these shall fail. None shall want her mate. For my mouth it have commanded, and his spirit it have gathered them." Right? So it says, none shall want her mate. Like, there's no other books that need to go with this, man. It's all right there. It's all right here. It's self-contained. It's a self-contained book, man. You don't need to get in all these other books, right? That's going to bug you out, and you can't even understand this book, right? And that's why you got to humble yourself. You got to humble yourself, right, before Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, right, and ask and pray, you so-called Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, because you are the Israelites. You have to pray for understanding. You have to pray that the Most High will open your eyes and give you understanding in these last days, right? You got to be able to humble yourselves and hear of, right, of the elders that the Most High has put on this earth to help teach us and give us understanding, right? That then, hey, Lord's will, then one day we'll have that great understanding and be able to pass that information on, right? But it all comes with humbling yourself, right? And you got to humble yourself in this truth, man, right? You don't want pride to take you out. You don't want pride to take you out of this, right? So with that, I hope this has been edifying, right? I hope brothers and sisters have learned something from this, right? Now, first, I give all praises, honor, and glory. I say, Kahala Yahweh, Ba'Shem Mashiach Yahushai, Ba'Shem Rakakadash, right? Double honors to the elders and the apostles, right, who have taught us this truth and this understanding. All praises to the Most High, Tawada, Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahushai. Peace and blessings to the 12 tribes scattered abroad. Stay striving for the truth, right? Keep the faith. Keep praying for each other in these last days. Fast and pray. Hold fast to what is true, right? And keep the faith, right? In Hamashiach Yahushai, right? Peace and blessings and a mighty shalom.